Have you ever stopped to think that even with all our modern technology and science, there are still things happening, real events, that just completely baffle us?
Oh, absolutely. It's kind of humbling, isn't it?
It is. I mean, we can send probes way out there, analyze tiny particles, but still,
Yeah.
some things, actual events, just leave us scratching our heads.
It's true. And maybe that's why these kinds of mysteries really capture our imagination. We build these frameworks, logic, reason,
Yeah,
and when something falls totally outside that, it challenges how we see things fundamentally.
exactly. And that's kind of the area we're getting into today.
Mm.
Based on the stuff you've been looking into, we're going to explore 10 of the creepiest unsolved mysteries ever documented.
And these aren't just campfire stories, right?
No, no, these are documented cases, real stuff, investigated, analyzed, and still no solid answers.
Right. And the idea isn't just to list them off. We want to dig into the key details with you, try and figure out why they stick with us, why they fascinate, maybe even, like you said, haunt us a bit. It's about looking at those gaps,
Yeah.
where the answers we expect just aren't there.
Okay, let's dive in. The first one feels almost unbelievable in today's world.
Huh?
2014 Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 carried 239 people.
And just vanished.
Vanished completely. When you think about all the tracking, the radar, everything, it's just
Well, what's really unsettling with MH370 is the total lack of closure. Usually, with aviation incidents, there's something.
debris signals, right?
Right, something. But here, a modern jetliner, all the tech,
Yeah.
it basically just ceased to exist on the grid. Massive searches, international efforts.
And nothing substantial found.
Nope. No confirmed wreckage, nothing. It really makes you question the limits of our surveillance, doesn't it?
It's that silence, that complete deafening silence where you expect
Boom.
data, answers,
Yeah.
that really gets under your skin.
Yeah.
You think about the families,
Mm.
the not knowing. How does something that big, that advanced, just disappear? It's like sci-fi almost.
It does sort of underscore a basic truth, though. Even with the best systems, there's still the unknown. Things can happen that are just outside what we can explain or even track right now.
Okay, speaking of things that defy easy explanation, let's jump back. 1959, Ural Mountains in Russia.
Ah, yes. The Dyatlov Pass incident.
9 hikers, experienced ones too. They went out, and what happened next is, well, it's one of the weirdest, most chilling mysteries out there.
It's genuinely disturbing. These were tough, seasoned mountaineers, right? Prepared for the conditions.
Exactly.
Yet it looks like they tore their way out of their tents in the middle of the night, some of them barely dressed,
Right.
in freezing temperatures.
And the way they were found,
Mm-mm.
some just frozen, but others, this is the part that always gets me, some had these severe internal injuries.
Trace of trauma, yeah, like
Yeah.
chest compressions, crushed ribs.
No outside wounds.
Exactly. No external signs of a fight or even significant bruising consistent with those injuries. It's
Yeah.
baffling.
How do you even do that? Inflict that kind of internal damage without leaving a mark. It just breaks your brain trying to figure it out. The official cause, still unknown.
Right. So what are you left with? What kind of force out there in the remote Urals causes that?
It pushes you towards really strange explanations, doesn't it?
It does. Was it some bizarre localized weather event? An avalanche behaving in a way we don't understand? Military testing? Or something else?
Something we don't even have a category for.
The lack of a clear, logical answer is what makes it so profoundly creepy and why people keep talking about it.
Okay, let's shift gears. Something totally different, but just as puzzling. 1977, Ohio.
The wow signal.
Yes, the Big Ear radio telescope picks up this powerful radio signal. Lasts for, what, 72 seconds?
Just 72 seconds, yeah.
Yeah.
And then nothing. Gone.
And the scientists looking at the data, they were so stunned by how unusual it looked compared to, background noise.
That one of them, Jerry Eamon, just scribbled, wow, on the printout.
And the name stuck. So what was so special about it?
Well, it was a strong, narrow-band signal, and crucially, it was in a frequency range around 1,420 megahertz.
Which is significant because
Because that's the hydrogen line frequency. Scientists figured if an alien civilization wanted to send a signal across interstellar space, that frequency might be a logical choice. It's quiet, cosmically speaking.
Right. So it looked artificial. Or at least not like typical space noise.
It had characteristics that made it look like it could be artificial, and the fact it was so brief and never heard again despite people looking. That's the mystery.
So what are the possibilities? A genuine hello from E.T. that we just happened to catch for a minute?
That's the exciting possibility, obviously.
Maybe some weird one-off reflection off space debris Some unknown natural phenomenon.
People have tried to explain it away with terrestrial sources, satellite interference, weird reflections, but nothing has perfectly fit all the data.
So it just hangs there. That question, was that it?
Yeah?
A brief contact from a cell out there.
That's the power of it. That ambiguity keeps the sort of extraterrestrial possibility alive, even if it seems unlikely to some. It's that what if.
Okay, let's come back down to Earth. A different kind of creepy, human, but still deeply mysterious. The Zodiac Killer.
Yes. Late 60s, early 70s, Northern California.
This guy terrorized the area, but it wasn't just the murders, horrific as they were, it was the way he communicated.
The letters. The ciphers sent to the police, to the newspaper.
Haunting them. It was so brazen, so theatrical almost. Claimed, what, 37 victims?
He claimed 37. Officially, fewer are confirmed, but the fear he generated was immense.
And the core mystery. We still don't know who he was.
Never caught.
Yeah.
Despite massive investigations, decades passing, his identity remains one of the biggest unsolved crime mysteries.
That makes you wonder about the psychology, doesn't it? Why commit these awful crimes and then write about them, send puzzles?
It suggests a real need for control, for recognition, a sort of intellectual game for him, maybe, a way to feel superior while staying hidden. And those ciphers.
Only a couple ever solved.
Right, adding another layer of frustration and, well, dark fascination.
How does someone manage that? Commit those acts, play those games, and just vanish into anonymity
Yeah.
for so long?
It's chilling. It really speaks to the difficulty of investigation sometimes, especially when the perpetrator is careful, maybe lucky, and actively tries to mislead.
Okay, from a very human threat to something more ambient,
Yeah.
elusive, the Taos hum.
Right. Taos, New Mexico, a small town, but known for this persistent, low-frequency humming sound.
But not everyone hears it.
That's one of the weirdest parts. Only a certain percentage of the population, maybe 2% according to some studies, seem to perceive it.
And they describe it like a distant diesel engine idling, something like that.
Yeah, a low rumble, constant, annoying, sometimes maddening for those affected. And the key thing, no identifiable source.
Despite people looking. Scientists, engineers.
Ooh, yeah. Lots of investigations, acoustic monitoring, geological surveys, checking for industrial noise, electromagnetic fields. Nothing consistently explains it.
So it's just
Yeah.
there, this sound, but only for some. No visible cause.
It leaves everyone baffled. Residents, scientists. It's a genuine phenomenon without a clear physical origin.
Can you imagine living with a sound that others can't hear, that no one can explain? That must be incredibly isolating.
It really highlights how tricky perception can be, doesn't it? And how much we maybe don't understand about how our bodies interact with subtle environmental factors. Is it geology, tinnitus, something else entirely?
Still a mystery. Okay, let's travel again. Australia, 1948, Somerton Beach near Adelaide.
The Somerton man. Found deceased, slumped against a seawall.
And the immediate problem was, who was he?
Exactly. No ID, no wallet, tags cut out of his clothes, no obvious signs of violence. Just an unidentified man.
But then they found something, didn't they? A tiny clue.
A very strange clue. Hidden in a small pocket sewn into his trousers, a tiny scrap of paper rolled up.
And on it.
The words Tamam Shud, it's Persian, means it is ended, or it is finished.
Whoa. Okay, that's dramatic. Where did that come from?
It was traced back, eventually, to a very rare edition of a book of poetry, the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. They even found the specific copy the scrap was torn from.
Did the book give any more clues?
Well, in the back of that book, there was faint pencil writing that looked like maybe a code and a phone number. But none of it led definitively to his identity or how he died.
So you have this unidentified man, died mysteriously, with this cryptic, "It is finished" note. It sounds like a spy novel.
That's one of the main theories that sprung up, especially given the Cold War context: espionage, or maybe a failed love affair, suicide, poisoning that left no trace.
So many questions. Who was he? How did he die? What did Tamam Shud mean for him? It's like finding the last scene of a movie.
It really is. And the fact that even with modern DNA technology, attempts to identify him or link him to relatives have been complicated. It just keeps the mystery alive, a man erased from the world.
Okay, fast forward quite a bit. 1987, Chicago. A very different kind of intrusion.
The Max Headroom broadcast incident. Or incidents, actually.
Right, it happened twice in one night.
Yeah. Someone managed to hijack the broadcast signals of two different Chicago TV stations. WGN first, briefly during the sports news. Then later, more extensively, during a Doctor Who episode on WTTW.
And what did viewers see?
This really bizarre, frankly unsettling image. Someone wearing a Max Headroom mask, that sort of CGI character, popular then rocking back and forth in front of this corrugated metal background.
In the audio.
Distorted, garbled, they were saying weird, nonsensical stuff, referencing Coke's advertising slogan, talking about some TV presenter. Just really strange, rambling audio. At one point, the figure exposed their backside briefly before the signal cut off.
That is just wild. How did they even do that, technically?
That's part of the mystery. They must have overpowered the station's signal with a stronger one, likely from a location close to the transmitter. It required some technical know-how, for sure.
And they were never caught.
Never. The FCC investigated thoroughly, but the identity of the hijackers, or hijackers, remains unknown. Just this bizarre, unsettling prank or whatever it was, and then silence.
The sheer nerve of it. And to just get away clean, mind-boggling for that era.
It really was a weird footnote in broadcasting history, but one that raises questions about security and vulnerability even then.
Okay, let's go way back now, like really way back. Late 16th century, early American history.
Roanoke, the lost colony.
One of the very first English attempts to settle in North America, Roanoke Island, of modern North Carolina.
Right. John White led the expedition, established the colony, then sailed back to England for supplies.
But his return was delayed, wasn't it, by war with Spain?
Exactly. When he finally got back, about 3 years later, the settlement was deserted.
Gone. Like everyone. Men, women, children.
Vanished. The houses and structures have been dismantled, suggesting maybe an orderly departure, not an attack. No bodies, no signs of a struggle, just empty.
But there was one clue, right? A famous one.
The only real clue, the word Croatoan carved into a post of the fort's palisade, and CRO carved into a nearby tree.
Croatoan, what did that mean?
Croatoan was the name of a nearby island, now Hatteras Island, and also the name of the Native American tribe that lived there. Friendly relations had existed, initially at least.
So did they just move, go live with the Croatoan people?
That's the leading theory, that facing hardship, maybe starvation, they chose to assimilate with the local tribe. White intended to sail to Croatoan to check, but bad weather forced his ships back to England and he never returned.
So we just don't know for sure. They could have tried to sail back, or died of disease, or been attacked by other tribes.
All possibilities. The lack of any definitive archaeological evidence, any graves, any clear records from the native perspective, it leaves it open. America's oldest unsolved mystery, essentially. An entire colony just absorbed into the landscape, seemingly.
Wow. Okay, from history to something.
Wow.
Well, orbiting over our heads. Maybe. The Black Knight satellite.
Yes. This is more of a legend or a conspiracy theory, but a persistent one.
So the idea is there's this thing up there, an artificial satellite, but not ours.
Exactly. The theory posits it's an alien probe, possibly thousands of years old, orbiting Earth, watching us.
Okay, where does this idea even come from? Is there any evidence?
Well, proponents point to a few things. Anomalous radio signals detected back in the early days of radio astronomy, like echoes with unusual delays.
Okay.
Then there are reports of unidentified objects seen in orbit by early astronauts, like Gordon Cooper, and some photos, particularly one from an early shuttle mission, showing an oddly shaped dark object.
And the kicker is, no country, no space agency says, oh yeah, that's ours.
Right. No one claims ownership, which fuels the idea that it must be otherworldly or ancient.
So what's the counterargument? What do skeptics say?
Skeptics generally explain these things away quite effectively. The radio signals likely had natural explanations or were misinterpreted. The astronaut sightings could be illusions or known objects. And that famous photo, NASA identified it pretty clearly as a thermal blanket lost during an EVA, an extravehicular activity.
A space blanket.
Basically, yes. Floating away, catching the light weirdly. So most evidence for the Black Knight is pretty thin when examined closely.
But the idea persists. Could there really be something unknown up there watching us?
It taps into that deep fascination with aliens, with being observed, you know? Even if the evidence is weak, the story is compelling. The mystery of the unknown other looking down.
Okay, our last one. This is genuinely disturbing on a physical level. The case of Gloria Ramirez.
The toxic lady? Yeah, this one is deeply strange. 1994, Riverside, California.
She's admitted to the hospital, very ill. Cervical cancer complications, apparently. But then things get really weird in the ER.
Extremely weird. As the medical staff start treating her, drawing blood, They noticed strange things, an oily sheen on her skin, a sort of fruity, garlicky odor from her mouth.
Yeah,
And then the staff started falling ill. One nurse fainted after drawing blood, then another complained of nausea. A respiratory therapist collapsed. A doctor felt lightheaded. It spread through the ER staff who were near her,
just from being near her or handling her blood.
primarily those in close contact. Multiple people experienced symptoms: fainting, breathing problems, muscle spasms, even temporary paralysis for one. The ER had to be evacuated.
It's terrifying. What on earth could cause that? Did they figure it out? She sadly passed away, right?
Yes, she died that evening. But the investigation into why the staff got sick was intense and ultimately inconclusive.
Inconclusive, but surely there was some explanation.
There were theories. The most prominent one involved DMSO, dimethyl sulfoxide, a degreaser she might have been using as a home remedy for pain. The idea was that maybe oxygen administered in the ER, combined with DMSO and other biological factors, created DMSO4 dimethylsulfone, which can crystallize at room temperature. They did see strange crystals in her blood sample.
Okay. And that compound is toxic.
Not usually in that way, and the chemical chain reaction proposed is highly speculative. Other theories involved hospital errors, contamination, even mass hysteria triggered by the unusual smell, but none fully explained the range and severity of the symptoms across so many staff members.
So her death and the effect on the staff, it's still basically unexplained.
Largely, yes. How could one person, however ill, cause such immediate, widespread physical reactions in trained medical professionals? It remains a deeply unsettling medical mystery.
It really is astonishing, isn't it? When you line them all up, MH370, Dyatlov Pass, the WOW, Signal, Zodiac, Taos Hum, Somerton Man, Max Headroom, Roanoke, Black Knight, Gloria Ramirez.
All real. All documented, witnessed, investigated.
And all still fundamentally unsolved.
Yeah.
It really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Are there just things beyond our current grasp, forces, realities, gaps in understanding that maybe feel a little, I don't know, unsettling to even contemplate?
Absolutely. They're reminders, aren't they, that for all our knowledge, the world, the universe, maybe even human biology, still holds profound secrets. They push against our assumptions. They force us to confront those edges where our explanations kind of stop. And maybe there are things that don't fit neatly into our boxes.
Or maybe the answers are coming. As we keep learning, exploring, pushing, will these enigmas eventually get solved?
Could be.
Could finding those answers completely change how we see the world, our history, our place in it all? Maybe shed light right on these very mysteries we've been talking about.
That's a really compelling thought, actually, because wrestling with these unknowns, that's what drives science, right? That curiosity.
Sure.
Each mystery is like a puzzle piece that doesn't quite fit, urging us to keep looking, keep questioning, keep striving for that deeper understanding.
Exactly. And, you know, we hope you keep exploring too. Dig into the ones that grabbed you, share your own ideas. There's always more out there, more to think about.
For sure.
And who knows what other fascinating deep dives are waiting for us down the road.